Tonight you're going to be learning about one of the original 13 colonies. Hopefully you've chosen the video that you were assigned today in class. If not, go back, look at the list again, and make sure you pick that video. But if you were assigned Georgia, you're in the right spot. You're going to be in charge of collecting notes on Georgia, using a textbook tomorrow, working with your group mates to create a poster where you can then teach your classmates about Georgia. So let's get started. Now this colony was established in 1732 by England, and it began as a proprietary colony. And this is one of those terms you might want to look up tomorrow for your poster. Originally, it began to protect South Carolina against Spanish Florida. The U.S. hadn't been established yet, and they hadn't owned Florida yet. It was still owned by Spain. Now, Georgia also serves as a completely different purpose than many of the other 13 colonies. In fact, than any of the other 13 colonies. It was designed to be a haven for English debtors. If you owned a debt and you were jailed, you would be in Georgia. Now, their first colonists were then obviously poor English traders or artisans. The poor are who owned the debt to England. So they're going to be the ones in Georgia. Now, part of the reason was because if they're debtors who are facing off with the Spanish if a conflict ever occurs, those lives don't matter to the English as much. So waste them in conflict rather than lives of those who could be more productive, was the king's thought process. Now, other people who might live in the area were religious refugees from countries like Switzerland and Germany. They're going to settle here because it would have been an easy place to settle, seeing as England didn't have constant control over the territory and there wasn't as much competition economically. The colonists, because they were meant to be almost like a jail colony, they had very strict rules they had to follow. They could not drink alcohol, they could not own slaves, and they could not own large plantations. Now, they could not drink alcohol to try to avoid conflict. They couldn't own slaves or large plantations so that they could not advance economically. If they were able to pay off their debt to the king, then they would be able to leave Georgia and go somewhere else and make money for themselves. And the king didn't want that. He wanted them working to make money towards him. But these restrictions really angered the colonists, as to be expected. So Georgia eventually, after years of petitioning, became an official royal colony to England. That meant they couldn't be treated with the same rules that they had been. They'd have to be treated as any other royal colony, like Virginia. Now remember, these notes are going to be used tomorrow when creating your poster in class. So make sure you have all of them. Go back, watch the video again if you need to. And I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good rest of your night.